It's Dave McHugh calling. I'm hanging in there. How about yourself? Good. Got a quick glitch here, so I'm just setting you up now, and then I'm going to get us queued up and ready to go. So you're not going to hear anything initially, but just bear with me, and we'll be right back. Awesome. And Mike, remind me how to say your last name. It is Shower. Yeah. I thought it was. I just get paranoid sometimes. Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Hang tight. Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. If you're able to be tuning in, we're adjusting some things to hopefully get everybody tuned in as quick as we can after the bit of a problem there with our streaming system. Gotta love it. Got questions for us? Tweet us at D3Hoops or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us hoopsville at D3Hoops.com. Join us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Hoopsville. Just got done talking about the upsets in men's basketball, in particular the team from Endicott with a win over number 5 MIT. They weren't the biggest upset in the first couple of weeks of this season. Number 2, Wisconsin Oshkosh took their lumps to Wheaton in Wheaton's opening tournament of the season. Pretty impressive, if I do say so myself. So we figured we better talk to Wheaton's head coach. Joining us on the Hoopsville hotline is Mike Shower, the head coach of the aforementioned Wheaton team. Well, of course, as my headset goes dead. Hold on a second, Coach. Apparently, we're losing our audio systems as well. We're losing everything today. We'll take a quick break, get this back up and running. So, Coach, bear with me. I know you can hear me. We'll be back with more Hoopsville right after this.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that. A lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
This is why we love sports. It's in the way they play, free from the pressures and all the money talk. Playing for simply the love of the game, where everyone has a shot at their definition of success on and off the field. This is what we love about sports, and what we can still love about college sports.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you're enjoying this show. As we continue to deal with things that do not pop up in tests, it's annoying beyond belief. We will try and find solutions. I am not in the mood, nor do I have the money to overhaul this entire studio. We're going to get right to the Hoopsville hotline and talk about the team that had the upset of number 2, Wisconsin Oshkosh. It is Wheaton. And Coach Schauer joins us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. And, sir, thank you for taking the time, and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you are. First and foremost, hey, go ahead.
We're in the coaching business. We're used to things happening we have not prepared for.
That's true. Very true. Especially when other people are relying on you, right? First and foremost, I don't think anyone didn't suspect the Thunder would have a good season this year. I just think when they saw Oshkosh on the docket and the national runner-up, who brought back everybody but their head coach from last year, they thought you might have a little struggles at home. You guys didn't get that memo, did you?
We did not. We certainly felt like we probably had that game circled at the beginning of the season a little bit, which, speaks a little bit to the fact you're talking to me after a great weekend, but the co-game came down to a possession. We almost didn't even get to that Saturday night game, but we certainly felt like we would have a chance to beat Oshkosh. We returned the bulk of a team that won at Augustana, that won at Whitworth, that won at Illinois Wesleyan a year ago. And our league, we're used to seeing teams like Oshkosh with some regularity. So our team was we certainly didn't perceive it to be an upset or a task beyond us. They're great. Their talent level is extraordinarily high. But, we played teams like that from time to time throughout our league. And so I thought our guys were pretty prepared, and we felt like we were going to have a pretty good chance to win.
When you guys looked at the game that you had ahead of you, did you want, and I've seen this in a few games, but especially this one, did you want Francis taking as many shots as he did? He certainly got his points, but wow, he took a lot of shots.
Yeah, well, he does. He does take a lot of shots. He's just a very, very gifted offensive player, and really from an efficiency standpoint, he put up 45 points on 29 shots. An efficiency standpoint, that's really not too bad.
True.
He is an offensive-minded, high-volume scorer, and so there are times he takes shots that certainly I would not let other people take, and he takes them at great volume. But at the same time, he scores at such a high level. That it's you live with some of it because he can get going as he did in the second half when we pulled away a little bit from Oshkosh. He can have nights where he's just so difficult to keep him putting the ball in the basket.
Interesting. What I picked up on too was the fact that obviously other guys came to play, but your defense really forced Oshkosh to seem uncomfortable. I watched a lot of the second half, and I saw a lot of shots from deep from Oshkosh. I didn't see them they had some time inside too, but it seemed like when they needed a shot, they didn't go inside. You seem to have some success with that vantage point.
Yeah, I think, Aston gets a lot of the attention for the points he puts up, and appropriately so. He was fantastic, but I thought an equally amazing effort that night was Luke Peters on Ben Boots, who, I'm as big a Ben Boots fan as you're going to find. He is an amazing guard who's just simply a winner. And Luke really, played just an unbelievable game defensively, and is a player capable of guarding some elite perimeter players. And so I thought our defensive effort against them was pretty good, particularly from a team that historically the last couple of years we haven't been great defensively. So to get that effort from us was something that was good to see, and hopefully can progress as we continue.
I certainly don't think Oshkosh was overrated in any way, shape, or form, and the win is certainly a solid one. But this isn't the season. You've still got, obviously you have a win over Coe and Ripon leading into that, but you got Calvin and Laterno and Chicago. Before we get into conference play with North Park and Illinois Wesleyan to get things going, you have a very difficult start to this season against teams that are either coming off NCAA tournament appearances or perennial NCAA tournament appearances. You didn't shy away.
No, and we really never have. I almost went into full Bill Belichick mode on you today because we've got an extraordinarily good Calvin team coming in here tonight, and I just felt like repeating on to Calvin because what happened Saturday, while it was great, really is of no import to us sitting here on a Tuesday with a team as good as Calvin coming in, and obviously watched their games against Augustana and Illinois Wesleyan, and a lot of teams are going to lose to Augustana and Illinois Wesleyan. So Calvin's really good. Obviously, Laterno's really good. Chicago's really good. But I just think the only way to prepare to play our conference slate is to go ahead and play some of those teams. There's just no reason to duck them. You got to get yourself playing at a high level on a consistent basis. And so that's what we've chosen to do and have done it more or less since I got here. And with some success and some failure. But I think our team gets used to playing at a certain level and expectation, and there's just no reason. I mean, our league is top to bottom so good that there's no reason to try to just not go ahead and play quality programs, as often as you can.
Oh, by the way, you got Olivet, who's going to be talking about competing for the top of the MIAA this year. You've got Platteville, who obviously is in the dogfight that is the WIAC right now and could be near the top. Illinois Tech, who has come on strong, certainly has one of the more interesting guards in the country. And then you got conference play. Illinois Wesleyan, Augustana, Carroll showing that they might be pretty good this year.
This is no more fun, Dave.
I'm sorry. I'm just filling it in for the rest of them. You can hit mute.
Yeah, it's a great schedule, no question.
You've got a lot of tests here. It's going to have its benefits potentially in late February. It's going to have its benefits if you also don't take too many hits, as we were talking about St. Olaf early on. How do you balance this with the team, though, to not raise the expectations too high of how you've started, but furthermore, also not have them too amped going into any particular game so that they can pace themselves out to some degree?
Yeah, I mean, you just try to have consistency, I think, right? I think that as coaches, we're all trying to get our team to play at as high a level as we can on a consistent basis. And so, again, because of our schedule and because of our scheduling history, this really isn't that unusual for our guys. They're kind of used to this. They're used to, our road games being at Whitworth last year and doing some of those things that, being at Calvin last year. Those things are challenging for teams, but it's our norm. We have weeks in our league where you can be at Illinois Wesleyan and at Millikin in the same week. You just got to be able to deal with that emotionally and just keep playing. And so, we don't talk a lot about it. We just put the next team up and go play them. We don't talk a lot about how difficult the schedule is or isn't. We just play the next team that's up and try to prepare for each one individually and try to play to our ability each night.
Well, your ability's been pretty good so far, admittedly so. Curious, you are going to Laterno this weekend. I believe that's a Saturday game.
Correct.
Curious what you guys have for team plans for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so we're flying down there tomorrow. Aston and Trevor Gunter are both from the Tyler, Texas area, and so we wanted to plan a trip into Dallas, and there were a lot of permeations of this trip. Ultimately landed on a Thanksgiving weekend with only the one game at Laterno, which is not really Dallas, but closer to Tyler. Yeah. And so we're going to spend Thanksgiving down there and do some team stuff down there and enjoy that time and play on Saturday and come back in time for school to start on Monday.
Oh, very nice. Make a trip out of it, as it were.
Yep.
And then obviously you got Chicago coming up after you get back, and Mike McGrath will have his team ready for you.
No question.
As well. And then conference action gets started the following weekend when you take on North Park. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, with the travel, I won't ask you necessarily what you think is going to be on the dinner table, but any clues besides the turkey, what you might be enjoying on Thanksgiving?
I have absolutely no idea. I would imagine it's going to be the traditional fare, but I don't know that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, you're going to Texas. It might be a little bit of a twist on the tradition from what you guys have.
It could be.
Yeah, could be fun. Well, I appreciate you dealing with the technical glitches we just experienced, and good luck the rest of the way. The CCIW, I guess before I leave you, is it? I mean, everyone's kind of looking at Augustana and Illinois Wesleyan. Is it more topsy-turvy than maybe people are giving it credit for?
Boy, I think so, and those two teams are fantastic. Obviously, I think we've got a chance to be pretty good, but I've watched Millikin, I watched Elmhurst. These are really good teams, and I think the top to bottom again in our league is going to be very difficult night in and night out, and I think top to bottom, anyone can beat anyone else, and I think it's going to be a very interesting and competitive year again in our league.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join us. Thanks so much. Good luck, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You too, Dave. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mike Schauer joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Appreciate him taking the time to do so. Big trip for them to Laterno. Hey, Laterno's a good program. Be fun to see those two programs face off. And then back, as we mentioned, against Chicago after, that's the Monday. No, what am I talking about? That's the Thursday after Thanksgiving. Going to take another break. When we come back, we'll try and answer some of your questions, talk about some things. Still ahead, Messiah women's basketball coach Mike Miller joins us. You've been listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA and ABC studios. More Hoopsville after this.
I coined my definition of success in 1934. My definition of success is peace of mind attained only through self-satisfaction and knowing you made the effort to do the best of which you're capable. It's like reputation and character. Reputation is what others perceive you to be. Character is what you are.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody, here on this Tuesday afternoon. The Gremlins continue to plague our studio. We hope to have some of them solved by Sunday when Sam Atkinson, the men's basketball committee chair, will be in studio to talk with us. If he's not, we'll find another, or if we still haven't solved a lot of these Gremlins, we'll figure it out. If anyone knows Murphy's Law, if you try these things out and test these things out, they always work just fine. And then when you go on air, they don't. And we have done everything but throw out the software, which we will now be doing in the future. We even doubled our memory. If you saw this computer, you'd be amazed it wasn't clicking along faster. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville, hashtag Hoopsville, email us, hoopsville@d3hoops.com, join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Hoopsville. We are answering any questions that may be out there right now until we have Mike Miller joining us in about 10 minutes. So if you got questions, send them our way. We'd love to hear from you. We were supposed to be simulcasting on Facebook. For whatever reason, when we restarted Facebook, it did not restart our stream. It did not restart the stream to Facebook. We have no idea. It's sending data to Facebook. We just don't know why it's... I mean, I can get... Well, maybe, I wonder if it's... Maybe we hit a setting wrong and it's sending it somewhere else. Let's hold on. Let me check something here. We have access to another account, and I'm wondering if I accidentally sent it to another group. No, doesn't appear we did. I was just kind of curious. Anyway, we'll continue to work on things and hopefully get everything up and running for all of you. If you got questions for us, again, email us, hoopsville@d3hoops.com. Join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Hoopsville. There's lots of ways you can get a hold of us, and we would hope you take advantage of them fully. We're going to be talking to Mike Miller from Messiah here shortly about his team, certainly playing well, despite an early season loss and a loss of a player, but we'll talk to him in a bit about that. The women's top 25, we kind of glazed over at the beginning of the show. The top 8 unscathed and looking dominant. Amherst obviously out of the gate with wins over Farmingdale State and RPI. Bowdoin with strong start against Regis and Colby Sawyer. Nothing against, Regis only put up 22 points. Regis not the same program that made the NCAA tournament something like 5 straight years is what I'm reading from that. Either that or Bowdoin is a dynamic team, but to win by 65. But we still have a lot of basketball here, and Amherst and Bowdoin need tougher competition for us to really understand where they sit. Amherst actually playing tonight against Eastern Connecticut, and Bowdoin playing against University of New England tonight. Hope, real strong start themselves. They'll play Concordia of Wisconsin tonight. St. Thomas, the win over George Fox really tells me a lot. I half expected that to be a loss, not because I thought less of St. Thomas. I think highly of St. Thomas in women's basketball. But George Fox has been a very good program. But St. Thomas came from behind on the road to win that one 76-73. I think that's pretty significant. They then got a win over Lewis and Clark. They have a game against Stevens Point coming up on Saturday. That's another must-watch. Thomas More, who is slamming as many games into their schedule as they can when they can, defeated Wheaton, Midway, who's not in Division III, Covenant, and Meredith to get things rolling. They'll take on Maryville on Saturday, LaRoche on Sunday, as they play a ton of games before mid-January when their schedule will certainly decrease. Tufts off to a good start. Chicago off to a great start, including that win over number 12, Illinois Wesleyan. Scranton, strong start, though not really playing a ton of tough teams. I'll be interested to see what happens when Scranton turns the corner. Trying, despite the fact that they lost their women's basketball coach due to some major indiscretion. There's rumors we're not going to dive into right now. Defeated Denison and Otterbein, but then lost to DePaul by 2. Of course, DePaul ranked in the top 15 as well. We'll take on Oberlin tonight, then Frostburg State and somebody else this weekend. Trine, by the end of the weekend, could be sitting at 5-1, and that would be certainly a very improved start to the season. George Fox, again, their only losses to St. Thomas. Messiah, we'll talk to them. Their loss to York, Illinois Wesleyan, their loss to Chicago. These are not bad results. Wartburg lost to Illinois Wesleyan. Not a bad result. Dominated Carroll right after that. Beat Platteville by 15-17 prior to that. Marymount, up and down. See what this makes of it. Emory and Henry, by the way, I think has proven a lot. They beat Marymount, then they beat Maryville. Now, Arcadia and Valley Forge weren't exactly the toughest opponents, and they certainly didn't do great against Arcadia, but they got the job done. What was really impressive was that they absolutely blitzed Valley Forge. They didn't let off. They woke up. We'll take on Shenandoah in conference play coming up this weekend. So there's a lot going on in women's basketball this season, and I'm really intrigued. I think as we talked to Gordon Mann in the beginning of the season, there's 2 tiers. There's that tier at the top and probably the 6 teams you think are going to be battling for a national championship. Maybe that's 8, but I think 6 is a good number. And then there's a secondary tier, and that secondary tier has gotten so much deeper, that I think the women's basketball tournament's going to be very much like the football tournament was this year, where I think we're going to see a little bit more topsy-turvy in the opening rounds of the tournament. Granted, that's in March. We're not there yet. So, again, and if you look at the receiving votes category, hey, Geneseo, despite losing Coach Scott Hemmer in the offseason, defeated Hilbert, William Smith, Lycoming, and York to get off the ground. Defeating York, I've seen York. York's frustrating me a little bit. They lost to McDaniel, by the way, McDaniel's off to a 4-0 start heading to Hopkins tonight. Men's basketball at McDaniel off to a 2-0 start heading to Hopkins. But York frustrates me because they have got some good size inside. You remember Chad McGowan, the All-American for York in men's basketball? His sister is a senior for the team. And I feel like they're missing something. I know Betsy Whitman is frustrated. The inside game looks dominant. I don't know why it doesn't seem like they're not going to it as often. In the McDaniel game, they went to it early and then abandoned it. So I'm really surprised at York. And then to lose to Geneseo by 13 actually does surprise me. I thought Geneseo would struggle a little bit under a new head coach. It's not a knock. Again, it's this situation where, an assistant or an associate takes over. A lot of people assume that means continuity, and that's not the case. I've gone through it myself. There is no necessarily continuity there. Assistant or associate coaches might have different ideas. They were following the head coach. Now that they get to take over their own program, they get to put their own stamp on things. They don't just repeat what the previous coach was doing. Well, Geneseo's at least somewhat repeating. They're off to this 4-0 start. They'll got Morrisville State coming up tonight, and we'll keep an eye on Geneseo. We mentioned Wheaton earlier. They lost to Thomas More, but they're at least 2-1 with wins over McAllister and Hanover, and they take on a good Laura squad tonight. These are teams that are receiving votes. So I'm really intrigued by a lot of these teams in women's basketball. I think we're going to have a lot of interesting conversations to be had as we go through the season here. And we're also going to have to see if teams like Rochester, which I don't think will happen, or Albright can recover from some really rough starts to the season in their pursuit of playing in March as well. All right, on that note, we're going to take another break. When we come back, Mike Miller will join us from Messiah to talk about his women's basketball program, and what they may be up to. We certainly would be interested to see if the injuries that they have suffered in that one loss to York is something that we need to be worried about, or if he's not worried at all. Mike Miller and the Falcons of Messiah coming up. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA NABC studio. More Hoopsville after this.
I coined my definition of success in 1934. My definition of success is peace of mind attained only through self-satisfaction and knowing you made the effort to do the best of which you're capable. It's like reputation and character. Reputation is what others perceive you to be. Character is what you are.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoops or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us, hoopsville at D3Hoops.com, or join us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Hoopsville. So we just got done talking a lot about the top 25, those receiving votes, et cetera, in women's basketball. And, of course, we talked a little bit about Messiah's start. Lost to York in their opening game of the season. The number 11th ranked. I'm on the wrong one. There we go. Number 11th ranked Falcons then got past Juniata after that, winning by nearly 30, 29 to be exact. Got past number 19 Gettysburg by 5, beat Wesley, and then St. Vincent. So a 4-1 start makes that first loss of the season seem like an afterthought. Joining us on the joining us on the Hoopsville hotline. It's not sponsored right now. It is Mike Miller from the aforementioned Falcons. And Coach, thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
I appreciate it. First and foremost, not the start you wanted, certainly. York, even they want to go back to the tape and see how they got past you guys to some degree, 69-66 in that first one. But the team clearly recovered well, and while Juniata is not the biggest world beater, Gettysburg is, and you got to win over them too. So a good recovery, as it were.
Right. Yeah, we have the result doesn't necessarily surprise me, but how we played surprised me that first night. Things showed up that didn't show up in our two scrimmages against good opponents. But the recovery is exactly right. We have 6 freshmen, and we lost some leadership from the year before, and I think everybody was just kind of figuring out that how to get things done that first night.
Yeah.
And without practice, without things like that getting ready for Saturday, it was just it really turned us and got everybody just a sense of urgency this early in the season.
You talk about loss of leadership, certainly lost some players, as everybody has turnover, but you also lost, from what I've been told, Leah Springer. I don't know if it's for the whole season or not, but due to injury. If there's a time to lose a player, now isn't the worst because the team can build as it goes forward. But that's still a significant loss at 6 foot in the inside part of your game.
Right. Yeah, she'll be out for the year.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and that's, with synergy and everything else, everybody's going to know that in a day or two, so, if not already.
That's kind of where I was hearing the grumbling from.
Yeah. So,
those who saw the bit.
Yeah. So, quite honestly, I mean, it's a big loss, but it happened early enough in the sense that, I can plan for it and the players can plan for it, and completely changing our offense and things like that. So I mean, we're only going to get better, and it would be harder to overcome if it happened in December. And,
Right.
But to have it happen early and have time to just say, this is what we're going to do offensively, defensively, and everything else. So I think we're only going to get better at this point. So.
Well, and it's senior play, not surprising
Correct.
that have come to the table here. And it's not like you've lost a ton of size, because Macy Thornton at 17.5 points a game, being a senior at 5'5", your guard. But then you got Alicia Rohrer, 6'2", senior at double figures right now at 15.8 and 13.8 rebounds. Granted, just 5 games in. So you've still got that inside-outside presence. It's just not without one of those extra towers that you can put on the post.
Oh, absolutely. And then Leah plays, and quite honestly, she plays all over the floor. But all 5 seniors are at the highest level of execution and things like Kristen Smolik and Becca Isaac and Haley Meriday. Like, they've all stepped up, and I think with Leah going down, they know they really are responsible on and off the court, and they've just done a great job of filling in. And then Macy and Alicia are just tearing it up at a really high level. So
Becca Isaac at 8 points a game, Kristen Smolk at just about 8 points a game herself. Unfortunately, you may be carrying the mantle a little bit here as the men's soccer program's tripped and stumbled this weekend. I just had to mention that because of the little side joke we had going via email. I'm hoping I didn't jinx anything. But, you know, Messiah is synonymous with almost all of its programs being really competitive on a national level to some degree, obviously led by the soccer programs. Does that add any pressure to some degree, or is it more fun?
Oh, I think it's 100% more fun. We are really collaborative and great peerage among all the coaches, and it's almost and everybody's in everybody's offices and talking strategy, and it's just a spiraling up. Like, it's not pressure, but you see how other programs do things, or hear that they tried something different off the court or off the field, and it's just kind of like everybody's just always looking for new ideas and always trying to grow from each other. So it's really a positive for all of us, you know, and we're happy. So if the soccer team wins the national championship, we're in the news. So it helps when we recruit a women's basketball player, because they know us and they think about excellence when they think about Messiah.
I'm sure we've talked about this too, but you know, you're one like Hope and Wheaton, Calvin, the rest have a little bit more of a Christian background to the school, or center of the school, I should say. Does that make recruiting easier, more difficult? Is it more targeted? How does recruiting kind of go along in that sense? Yeah,
I think for all of us, recruiting just is. It's not easier or harder. Okay. It's definitely targeted. We have a lot less players that we would recruit that meet our profile, but then the ones that do meet our profile are a little bit more interested in us in the front end. We don't have to do the hard sell just to get them to look at our website type of thing. So we have people but it's hard to find them, and from year to year, you might have a good number of people who are interested, and next year you might not have hardly at all, which is this is why we don't have a sophomore class. So, Do you ever get a recruit who comes to you and say, hey, I'm interested, and you sat there going, wow, we didn't think she'd be interested in a Messiah school? Oh, yes, absolutely. Like, over the years, yeah, for sure. And what happens is through AAU and things, in basketball especially, people are looking for that D2D1 scholarship, and maybe someone will start then that's first. So we try not to come in too soon on some of these players, but then they start making the campus visits, and it's not what it was all cracked up to be, the environment and things like that, as far as fitting their personality and what they want in the culture. So, and then they kind of come back to us a little bit. So, for sure. Do you have others who think, listen, I may not be perfect in my personal life for Messiah, but I'm willing to come and be a part of the program because of the tradition and all that, but then realize, no, this isn't the right fit for me? Yes, that happens. And it could be that it still is the right fit. Like, we're really upfront in the communication process, and if people don't quite understand what we're about, we really make sure, because we want their experience to be the best experience. Right. They're only going to get these 4 years one time, and it doesn't have to be at Messiah. But we feel we need to be responsible to them and get them to the place they're supposed to be at. And if we do that, we get the players we're supposed to get. So. Let's change gears a little bit. You've got a lot of tall players on this team. I'm noticing a lot of height starting to come into the Mid-Atlantic, as much as guard play has been important. Really seeing the inside play become a bigger factor. Right. Yeah, it's really odd. Like you're right. There was a time when if you had one player, you would have an advantage there, and there are teams like there's almost every team has one or two centers that can play and move and do a lot of multiple things and have a lot of skills. So it's really interesting how right now in our league there's just a lot of bigs that can play.
Yeah, I got this chance to see Widener this past weekend, and I was really surprised at the amount of height that they had. I mean, they have 6 players, I think, in legitimacy, but 4 who are in their main rotation. And I thought to myself, geez, if they're bringing that much height to the game, that changes this conference more than I'm used to, because, again, I'm used to 1 or 2 being inside.
Right, yeah, and, Stevenson has a great center, and Lycoming. Albright has 2 really strong forwards as well. Love Valley, I think, has 2 strong forwards. So, yeah, and we're in a good place as well.
How do you see this conference shaking up? Because I saw Widener was a preseason pick number 4, and I'm thinking to myself, geez, they're playing like I think they can play with Ireland at the post, or I mean at the point, and then either Haley or Schenk or whoever inside. Oh, they're more like a 2 or 3 in my opinion.
Right, I really think it's really going to be balanced. There's some people that might have a hard time competing this year, sure. But the top half, I think it's pretty interchangeable for sure.
That's going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah,
of course.
It's going to be, and that's going to make it a little more unique instead of just 1 or 2 teams that kind of going through with 1 loss. It's going to be people are going to beat each other up this year.
Well, and you got Widener next Wednesday.
You want to tell me?
Yeah, to get things going. I told you, Ireland at the point. You got Schenk and nothing you don't know, Coach.
Yeah, I know.
And nothing you're not going to see. You'll see it on Synergy, as you made a point earlier.
Yeah.
You got Eastern tonight, though, first, at home. Obviously, that needs to take some priority before heading into Thanksgiving, and hopefully no one's thinking about the turkey too soon.
Yeah, that's been a pregame speech of mine for 32 years. It'll be 33 tonight. Like, you're gonna be in the gym regardless. You're here, you're stuck here.
Yeah.
So you might stay in the moment, and then we ask them to stay in the moment when they get home with their family. Don't be thinking about getting back and those kind of things either. But we'll be preaching that in the pregame for sure.
And then you got Christopher Newport in non-conference play coming up in a week and a half.
Yeah.
Then back into conference play. You got Kenyon and Emmanuel. Emmanuel, pretty good squad down in Florida before conference play. You got an interesting mixed bag this season on that schedule.
Yeah, our non-conference schedule is really, really, really good. So, I know Juniata lost a couple of people, but our first 3 games, those teams were 68 and 18 last year. So, and we want to throw these freshmen into it, and they're getting exposed pretty good. So,
yeah, that I would say the least. Well, before we go, we've been asking our guests tonight what's going to be on the Thanksgiving dinner table. Do you have any clue?
Oh, no, I do. I'm part of that process, my wife and I.
Oh, cool.
But, no, yeah, we do the traditional. So we'll have the turkey and mashed potatoes and stuffing and all that kind of stuff, cranberry sauce and those kind of things. So
what's your favorite
we're pretty
part?
Traditional.
What's your favorite?
Stuffing ball. Homemade stuffing, yep.
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah? Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure, Dave.
Enjoyed having you. As always, we give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts for those tuning in?
Nothing other than I really, again, appreciate your work, and everybody out there, just keep listening to Dave. He does a wonderful job. So.
Oh, thanks, Coach. Appreciate the kind words.
All right.
Look forward to running into you down the road. Take care, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Absolutely. Mike Miller joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline as his Falcons get ready to take on Eastern. Coming up here tonight. That game is scheduled for 6 o'clock. I just want to double-check something. Eastern, obviously, not in conference, but you've got some good squads in this conference. Albright looks like they may have taken a step back with some early losses, but Lycoming comes back pretty well. Stevenson comes back. Widener really impressed me. They're not that 12-13 team. You mentioned Lev Val. The Commonwealth race on both the men's and women's side. It's going to be fun to watch this year. And Mid-Atlantic women's basketball has been fun to watch. The only difference is Mid-Atlantic women's basketball hasn't seemed to elevate to the national level. I don't think it's reached Tier 1 just yet. Programs like Messiah could certainly do it, but we just haven't gotten there yet. It'll be fascinating to watch the rest of the season, how the Commonwealth, the Centennial, and the CAC, granted without Marymount in the CAC, will elevate themselves heading into January and February. That was Coach Miller. Appreciate him taking the time. Going to take another break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show with your questions and whatnot. You listen to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA NABC studios. We'll be back with more Hoopsville when we return.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all. It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's 800 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over a decade. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're at d3hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
And welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody, on this Tuesday, November 20th, pre-Thanksgiving special for you. Hope you're enjoying the show despite our technical difficulties. Wrapping up the program here, we're going to spend about 10 minutes. You've got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us, hoopsville at d3hoops.com, or join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. Let's see here. I had a couple of things. Bear with me. I digress. I was trying to look around and see. Thought I had a question that popped up. I did not. I was going to call up the schedules for tonight because there is a lot of good basketball coming tonight. You should be checking out. Thanksgiving appetizer, as it were. We already talked about some of the top 25 teams in action. Number 2, Oshkosh will be at Edgewood. Edgewood takes on a lot of WIAC teams this year. I want to double check how many to be sure. Edgewood takes on Oshkosh, Stevens Point, Platteville this season. Oh, geez, that's not as many as I thought they were taking on, but still quite a few for Edgewood there. Tufts will be at number 5 MIT. Ryan mentioned that one earlier. Mass College will be at number 8 Williams. Number 9 Hamilton's at Bard. Number 10 Platteville at Simpson. That could be a fascinating test. Capital at number 11 Wittenberg. Speaking of Wittenberg, my Gophers men's team took Wittenberg a little closer than I expected. 15-point outcome. I don't know what to make of that, to be blunt. But Capital will be at Wittenberg. Wash College at Swarthmore. That game, keep an eye on that one. I don't know. I think Wash College might surprise. Maybe not in this particular game, but during the season. McDaniel at Hopkins. Seton McDaniel, they've overhauled their program. They certainly have some good players. Can they take advantage of Hopkins? And they probably play a style closer to Salisbury does McDaniel, so maybe Hopkins can't handle it. It's at Hopkins, though. It's at Goldfarb, so that Salisbury game could also wake up the Blue Jays, and McDaniel's got no chance. That's an interesting game to be sure. New Jersey City at Kane in conference action. New Jersey City's got to start conference play well, so keep an eye on that one. Middlebury's got Northern Vermont Johnson. I can't remember their old. They just changed their name. I can't remember who that one is. Illinois Wesleyan at Wash U in a really good early season test in non-conference play. Worcester at Hanover, Whitewater at Monmouth, and La Crosse at St. John. So a lot of top 25 games in men's basketball action that are worth watching. And there's a lot of games, period. We can't even go through all the rest of the games. There is tons of games tonight. In women's basketball, Eastern Connecticut will be at number 1 Amherst. Number 2 Bowdoin will be at New England. We mentioned that earlier. Concordia, Wisconsin at number 3 Hope. Skidmore at number 6 Tufts. That's a fascinating early season game for Tufts. Number 8, Scranton at Marywood. Number 9, Trine at Oberlin. Eastern will host number 11, Messiah, which we talked about earlier. Messiah will host Eastern. Number 21, Whitewater is at number 12, Illinois Wesleyan. Great game for pre-Thanksgiving. Shenandoah at Marymount in number 16. Maine Farmington at number 17, St. Joseph's of Maine. Oh, that one looks like it's already been officially postponed, actually. There's snow rolling through the New England area, and that game looks to have been postponed. And Gettysburg's at Franklin and Marshall. I'm not sure if that's going to be much of a test for Gettysburg. William Patterson at Montclair, that could certainly be a test. And Randolph-Macon at Bridgewater could be a test. And then there's a whole mess of games after that. Muhlenberg's at Dickinson tonight. McDaniel and Hopkins, again, on the women's side, will also play. There's a lot of good games in men's and women's basketball tonight. It's not just an off night on a Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It is. It's almost like a really good Saturday in basketball, except they're all at night, which will make things a little bit more interesting, to say the least. Let's see here. Looking for questions if you have any. By the way, 6 years ago tonight, I kind of roll my eyes a little bit at this. Remember Grinnell's Jack Taylor set the record of 138 points. We have not had Grinnell on the show since. I can't believe it's been 6 years, which makes me feel old. Yeah, but, Grinnell recently set the record for the most Division threes, most threes made by a Division III team at 42. The NCAA record set in the 90s is 52 by a Division II Troy. As someone said to me, someone made 52 threes? And my response back was, someone made 42 threes. I'll take the 42 record by Grinnell with a little bit more a tip of the hat, because for a team to hit that many shots, despite it coming against not as strong a program, isn't the end of the world. You still got to hit those shots. It's not one guy like Jack Taylor where they kind of connived it so he could go after that scoring record, or the current coach, David Arsenault Jr., kind of connived it to go get the assists record. To get the whole team to hit that many threes, and at a decent percentage, I think they only took 86 shots, so they shot above 50%, if memory serves, for that game as a team. That's pretty impressive. No, maybe not against the toughest of opponents, but you got to get everybody on board to be able to pull that record off. And so that one at least deserves a tip of the hat, though the one 6 years ago is still one that rubs me the wrong way and will remain that way for some time to come. So, yeah, a lot of good basketball to be played tonight. Looking forward to seeing how that all plays out. Speaking of which, I wonder who Grinnell's even playing tonight. They're taking on Central. I have a feeling that game will not be it won't be as record producing as possible. Central, by the way, will start their conference play next week against Nebraska Wesleyan. Remember, Nebraska Wesleyan pretty much held Grinnell at bay, 143-90, and I think Grinnell scored like the last 15 points with all the deep bench players for Nebraska Wesleyan in the game in the last couple of minutes. So Nebraska Wesleyan looking good, 4-0 start. And Carroll certainly gave them a battle. So did St. Norbert. But that's the thing about Nebraska Wesleyan that's scary. Remember, the game against Whitman last year was not a very high-scoring affair. That game was somewhat traditional in the lack of a better term. They defeated Whitman. Whitman's game was the blowout, 139-7. It was the game they had against Springfield that was 90-78. They had taken Platteville 79-78 before the Whitman game. So they have these two abilities to play. They can play that half-court set, a little bit more slower-paced, traditional game, 79-78 against Platteville, but then they can go out against a team like Whitman, put the accelerator down, hit the gas and change gears, and put up 130 points just as easily, depending on the style. That's what's scary about Nebraska Wesleyan. Some teams, you want to, if a particular style comes into play, you might have an advantage because they can't play that style. You hear it in a lot of times if a team is big and the opponent is small, the small team might go up pace because the big team may not like the style. By the way, that's what blew me away about Widener women's basketball is they were willing to go up tempo, which I think stymied Eastern Mennonite, though apparently, it certainly stymied Ferrum, who tried to do that a little bit too. But, with this Nebraska Wesleyan team, they'll go up tempo, they'll go half tempo, they'll do all kinds of things in between. And I think that's what makes them more dangerous, is they're willing to play whatever style you want to play. They're also deep, real deep. The Oshkosh game in the quarterfinals, in the championship, 78-72 after putting up 90 points against Springfield the night before. That's what makes Illinois Wesleyan so dangerous as a team. Makes Whitman, to some degree, pretty dangerous. And they're both deeper than deep. I'm fascinated to see where this goes this season in terms of those programs and some others. On that note, not much else I can say. I will hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving. I'll have at least one meal, maybe two. I have my in-laws to go to, which we will do during the day. We may get over to some friends of mine who I consider family later in the evening. We'll see. There will be the traditional, the turkey and the stuffing and the potatoes and all that jazz. I'm a big fan of the potatoes and the turkey with a little bit of gravy. I'm not the biggest fan of the stuffing. I'm a little particular about my stuffing. It's a long story. Top 25s come out next week on Monday. I'll be revisiting my top 25 to be sure. Looks interesting to see how everybody plays everything out this week. We will be back on the air Sunday. This plan is to be back on the air Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Plan is to have Sam Atkinson in studio. I'll freely admit, I'm not sure if we're pre-taping that in studio or if he'll be live in studio. We still have to work that out with details. If you've got questions for Sam or myself, you're welcome to send those questions in ahead of time at Hoopsville at d3hoops.com is the easiest way. You can also tweet them to us. Use our Twitter account at d3hoopsville. Or send them to us on Facebook, especially Facebook Messenger if you'd like. Bear with us if we don't get right back to your questions. Excuse me, as my cold is definitely getting the best of me now. As it is Thanksgiving weekend, we're also busy. I have a basketball game to call on Saturday, and we're going to start prepping for soccer in less than 2 weeks' time when I'm going to be on the call for those games in Greensboro. So we'll be a little bit busy. Hopefully we'll get the software jinx solved by the time Sunday rolls around as well. Maybe a little bit of a more stripped-down show, but we'll figure it out. And plus some other guests as well. I really hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving and enjoys the time with family, and if not with family, with friends who may be family, and enjoy some of the games out there. If you got some time, don't go shopping, don't go crazy. Go take some time and enjoy the holiday and enjoy some games. If you can get to a game locally, go to it. I'll be spending some time watching games online when not calling them and maybe putting up some Christmas lights. That's my plan. If you got any questions for us in the meantime, you can always tweet us at D3Hoopsville and hashtag Hoopsville. Email us hoopsville@d3hoops.com and join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. I want to thank Kevin Betancourt from Endicott, Mike Schauer from Wheaton, and Mike Miller from Messiah for joining us. And, of course, the sports information directors as well at those locations, including Matthew Fenton at Messiah, Brent Marcana at Wheaton, and, of course, Endicott. I always want to thank Sean there for his help as well, especially with some confusion over timing and the fact that we delayed Sunday's show until today. Appreciate everybody being flexible. Also, thanks to Ryan Scott for coming on the show early on to set the tone as well. You've been listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA and ABC studios. This show is copyrighted to DMAC Production, Dave McHugh, and we hope you will respect that as well. If you have any plans to reuse this, please contact us so we can give you permission appropriately. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everybody, and we'll see you here on Sunday. Good night.